Let's talk some Jeremiah Fears landing spots. We briefly mentioned a few of these yesterday when the breaking news came through that Jeremiah Fears is reclassifying and leaving Illinois, or at least reopening his recruitment. Since then, we've gotten a little more intel on exactly who is going after Jeremiah Fears, maybe some schools to keep an eye on. And Jeremiah himself even tweeted out he got a phone call from Kentucky. That's the only school that he has mentioned thus far, as Mark Pope has called. So before we get into the actual schools and a breakdown of likelihood of where he could go next, um, you've had a night to sleep on this. Have your thoughts or feelings changed on the Jeremiah Fears departure at all?
I mean, look, I feel like my thoughts yesterday have somewhat remained the same. Look, the only thing I didn't like is I thought there was a lot of coping going on with what Illinois was saying about Jeremiah Fears and his game, which I think fans do a lot. Like it's not just them. I'm not singling them out in any way or fashion. Uh, but I don't know. I'm still very interested, I guess is the word I would say, to see what options he has, what schools he can go to that are going to give him what he wants, which seems to be, the ball in his hands a lot of minutes. And it's just gonna be interesting to see what spot is gonna be willing to give him that, given that it's July 2nd.
Yeah. Okay. I the coping. What do you mean by the coping?
Well, all of a sudden, like Illinois fans are like, "Oh, Jeremiah Fears isn't good," or "This losing Jeremiah Fears is not good. It's fine. It's okay."
And you think
Well,
it's not okay?
you lost a good player.
It can't. I think both can be true though. Like Illinois fans should say Illinois will be okay. Illinois is fine.
That is fine. And I agree with that. Illinois
Yeah.
is fine. This is not sky is falling,
Yeah.
but this isn't like all okay at the same time. I think you said it best yesterday. The sky isn't falling. Illinois will be okay. But also, this isn't good. Not everything has to be good news. There's such thing as bad news.
Yeah. I think fans gotta realize like you can take individual L's without like saying the program's in shambles or like it's an overall L for the program. This is just an L recruitment or like an L result even. And I okay, my one thing that's changed since yesterday, or just a takeaway, a thought I want to get out here, I think is different from yours, and you might even disagree with this. I don't know. I know you've had some conversations with in the know people here that I haven't had, but this is what's frustrating me. It seems like the story from Illinois' side, and this means Illinois reporters, Illinois media, maybe the program themselves, and definitely fans. Seems like the story from all of them is, well, this is just about reclassifying. This is just about reclassifying. It's as simple as this. It is black and white. Jeremiah always wanted to go to 24. He knew he was going to 24, and he knew the staff wouldn't take him for 24. Nothing Illinois could do. Nothing Brad Underwood could do. It's just about reclassifying. Oh, well, shake your hand, everybody move on. I strongly disagree that it's that simple here. And I can kind of map this out. I sent this to the Discord last night of like step by step what I think has happened here. And I will read this in just a second, but like the overarching thing to remember here, if he was always going to reclassify, and he has always known, like the conversations have always been clear that he couldn't reclassify to 24 at Illinois, he should have reclassified 3 months ago. Like, nothing about waiting until July 2nd benefits Jeremiah Fears. If you look at the schools we're about to talk in this recruitment, the teams that still have an open spot, he wants the ball. That's what he's telling everybody. There aren't many teams in the country that will bring him in to give him the ball at this point, because every school in the country has started practice. Most of these schools have 13 scholarships filled. Most of them are out of money. So if he's known for a while, reclassifying is what I want, and he's known for a while, Illinois is not going to let him do that. This should have happened months ago. And that part makes no sense to me. I'll be straight up about it. I don't think the Fears family is that dumb to let it play out this way. I think they've taken great care of their kids, of Jeremy and Jeremiah up until this point. And I think in general, they make sound decisions that have a lot of thought put into them. I don't think this is like a willy-nilly last second Jeremiah's decided to blindside us and do this. So to me, it's a lot more complicated than just, hey, he has always wanted to reclassify and we knew this was a risk and Brad wouldn't take him. Can I go through? I have my step-by-step what I think happened here. Do you agree with what I just said, though, first? And do you have any feedback or thought on everything I just said?
Yeah, I mean, because at least for me, if well, I guess I agree with most of what you said. The one part I would throw in here that I guess goes back to the Illinois fan base, and I don't know if it or Illinois team in general. I feel like if he did stay in 25, like he would go to Illinois. And I think people think if he didn't stay in 25, or if he did stay in 25, he would have reopened his recruitment anyway. I think the way that Brad is doing the program right now, it's really like it's on an annual basis. The team is most likely going to be different. Guys are going to go, guys are going to be there, guys aren't going to be there. In a world where next year's team, let's say Kasparis leaves, right? That leaves a spot open. I think Jeremiah is better than GGL. I think Jeremiah is better than Kylan Boswell. And personally, I don't think Illinois is getting Jasper Johnson. So there would have been the role I think he would have wanted.
Hold
So
on. Hold on. That's new.
what?
Yes, yesterday, I listened back to it this morning in prep for this. Yesterday, you said, I think Illinois has a great chance at getting Jasper Johnson. Today, you say, I don't think Illinois is getting Jasper Johnson. What's happened in the last 24 hours?
I just think that eventually the Kentucky thing is going to show itself. And I think, and if the Kentucky thing doesn't show itself, I think Oates shows itself. And I think that when you look back on it, Illinois, I think out of respect for Coach O, and maybe what the time he has put in with Jasper, there's consideration. I'm not saying it's totally fake, but I don't see him going to Illinois.
Are you hearing some things there, or is this just like your heart flipped on this overnight?
I'm hearing things, possibly.
And my Carter's hearing some things radar went off in the middle of that because that was a cold hard turn. Yesterday, you like thought Illinois had a really good chance. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like to say like they're not getting him, it seems like something happened there.
I think it's very unlikely they get him.
Interesting. Okay. That's a bummer because I like Jasper. All right. So your point about like if he stays in 25, you think he'd still go to Illinois, and I agree with that completely. And I think that's why a lot of Illinois fans are saying, well, that's why it's not about his feelings on Illinois. It's about the just wanting to reclassify, and that's it. Here's how I'll summarize it, and then I want to go point by point through what I think happened.
I need a point by point, Greg.
I'm going to get to it. But the summary on it, I don't think Jeremiah has always just been adamant on going to 24. I don't. And if he was, again, he would have done that months ago. Right? Like, you don't just willy-nilly decide in July that you need to reclass. Nobody does that. That's a horribly bad decision for a prospect of this caliber. It's not smart unless you have a great destination in mind that's begging you to come. That's not what's happening here. So, to me, that means you were willing to stay in 25 if you felt good enough about what your role was going to be. And I think that is what has happened here is like step by step, the Fears family has been gradually getting more and more concerned about the way things are looking for 25. And yes, both sides knew like, oh, we might reclassify. But at a certain point, there's a breaking point that forces you to do this in July. Otherwise, if you wanted to do this months ago, you would have done it. So here's what I think. This is speaking for me. Again, I have not talked to anyone who's told me word for word this would happen. This is me doing the body language PhD thing through every bit of information you've given me and context clues and where this is headed. This is what I think happened this summer. Number one, Jeremiah does talk to the Illinois staff and says, hey, I might want to reclassify, right? I've already graduated high school. I'm playing with Team USA. Like, I'm working out with my brother Jeremy. I'm seeing what college basketball is. Keep in mind, this family and this kid live and breathe basketball, right? Like he's just, the more he's around Jeremy and he's done with high school and Team USA, I'm ready. Hey, Illinois, can I come early? First off, before I think we get to that point, step two, I think the family is like, are you sure about this? Because I think his dad's smart. Okay. Like, I don't think this was received by his family in a way that's like, yes, go do that. That's best for your development. I think the family knows it's not a great move for a kid this small to reclassify so quickly. But Jeremiah's just pushing and pushing and pushing. And the family's kind of like, well, we can explore it, but let's make sure it's a good situation. So it's on the table, but nobody's that serious about it. It's just sort of on the table. 3, at a certain point, they get more serious about it. Fears and the family reach out to Illinois and say, like, let's do this. Let me come early. 4, Illinois says, we'd prefer you stay in 25. And this is me reading this. I don't think Illinois probably flat out told them right away, like, there's no way I take you in 24. But I think this was early enough in the summer that, like, they're figuring out the 11 roster spots they need to fill. And the early priority is like, let's go get a veteran point guard from Champaign. Let's go get Kylan Boswell. And Brad and staff correctly are like, well, if we can get Boswell, we should probably wait on Fears. So to me, that's the conversation, is probably Fears and family like, can we come? We kind of want to come. Let's come. And Illinois is like, we'd rather have you stay in 25. Okay. We still want to go to Illinois. So, okay. That's where we're at. Then things start to happen. Okay. 5, Boswell gets added. I think the family's fine with that. I think everybody on board is like, oh yeah, Boswell now will stay in 25. This makes sense. Then Illinois tries to get Igor Demon. I think everybody's fine with that. They miss on Igor Demon, and the pivot is a point guard. I think everybody looked around and was like, why? Why are they getting another point guard? Like, we just were cool with one. Why are we getting a second? Is this kid even any good? He's a Euro. Like, is he going to be here forever? Is Illinois going to return 2 point guards who start together next season when my son and Jeremiah, me, are supposed to be a one and done, get the ball in my hands quickly? Like, that's not what we signed up for. So Kasparis commits, and look, clearly that wasn't enough to send him away, because this happened like 6 weeks ago, Cart. If he was set on reclassifying, then the day Kasparis commits, you leave, right? But that didn't happen. So that to me signals that, like, Fears and the family still wanted to work this out with Illinois, even after Kasparis. So Kasparis is in the fold. Now there's a lot of like, maybe we need to be looking elsewhere. I think Fears and the family probably called Illinois at that point and said, hey, we're not waiting around a full year just for you to bring back a starting backcourt that's going to start over him. Like, if you want Jeremiah, let us reclassify. Like, we want the ball in his hands. I know you're adding point guards. Like, do you want Jeremiah as much as you want Kylan or Kasparis? Yes or no? And I think at that point, Illinois says there's no way you're coming to 24, because now we have guys who are more ready than you. We have a pro-ready guy in Kasparis. We have an older guy in Kylan. It doesn't make any sense for you to join this roster when this happens. So now, if you're the Fears family, you take that news and you say, okay, they don't value me, right? Like, I thought I was the 5-star one and done. I thought I was the future in the backcourt. You just took 2 other guys over me. You won't let me come. What the hell? Reminder, he still hasn't reclassified. This could have happened a month ago. So to me, that signals that Fears and the family wanted to still figure this out and make it work. What happens next? Illinois goes all in on begging a wing to reclassify. So they won't let Jeremiah reclassify, and they're begging Will Riley to reclassify. You could have gone 3 guards. You could have given the Fears family what they wanted and brought him in and made him feel valued and still had all of this. I'm not saying that's what's best for Illinois. It's not. Will Riley's better for Illinois this season than Jeremiah is. But this is what you have to juggle in college basketball today. If a family that you got on board is all in about their kid getting the ball in his hands quickly and being featured, and you're like, no, we like these 3 guys better. What are we doing here? And again, it is not as black and white as like he just wanted to reclassify. Otherwise, he would have reclassified before all this shit happened. So he's still waiting. After they bring Will Riley in, I think the final nail in the coffin is the Jasper Johnson visit. Like, okay, I've sat back and watched point guard ad, who both might be here in 2 years. I've watched you say I can't reclassify and beg another guy to reclassify. And now I'm watching you go recruit another point guard in my class who's more highly rated than I am. Like, do you even want me at this point? And to me, you add all of those things up, that's how you get a guy reclassifying in July when nobody will take him. And reminder, it makes no sense because the schools we're about to talk about for Jeremiah Fears are less prestigious, with less money and less talent around them in the front court and on the wings than schools that would have wanted Jeremiah Fears if he did this in May. So that's my read on the situation. I was preaching this in the Discord like this is way more complicated than just kid wants to reclassify, Illinois has no room. There was like 7 decisions that went down that led to this happening at the time it happened. I don't think everyone's like, oh, shake hands, it's a win-win. Illinois dodged a bullet. Jeremiah Fears wins. I would argue this is a lose-lose. I would argue Illinois lost Jeremiah Fears, which to me is still the highest upside guy other than Kasparis. And Jeremiah is about to go commit to a school that's way worse for him in his development than Illinois would have been.
Okay, a lot of talking points to break down right there. One, it's just I can't figure out what it would be, why it wouldn't be done months ago, like you said, just because even if it was to get to the end goal to get to Illinois, I would have tried to work it out in some way with the even the roster given what you have. I would have figured it out. All right, that's how I would have approached it. Honestly, I'm very interested to see like what schools even come forward to make this work, because like, look, is there a school where this ends up? It is a question because I don't know. Is there a school that he could go to at this point where that he could end up at where you're like, okay, maybe this move is right? Or is this a dead move in your opinion?
There's like one that I like that's been rumored. Like,
and what is that one?
the one that needs a starting point guard.
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to do that today. I did it yesterday.
Oh, now are you sure you don't want to do it?
I'll do it. But like, no, the reality to me is all of the options that are seriously on the table for him at this point that I've heard, I don't think help him get where he wants to go. I don't think this is like Cannon Catchings leaving a spot that wasn't going to put him in a one and done to like a great fit that's paying him and will get him one and done. Like, this is a kid who to me is making this decision because he felt trapped in what was coming to him for 2025 at Illinois. And I guess the pivot is he could have stayed in 2025 and just decommitted from Illinois. Like that was an option here. But I think, again, from what we are hearing, the kid just wants the ball. He wants to play and wants the ball. But to me, again, this is not a decision that was like easy to make. It was a decision that ended up happening so late because of all the complicated twists and turns of how Illinois has handled him. I don't think this family wanted to leave Illinois until very, very recently. And now that they've made the decision, this isn't going where we thought it was going. We're not guaranteed to have the ball in our hands. If we wait a year, why would we wait a year? Then it's just like, okay, let's expedite the process. If we're going to do something we don't want to do anyway, let's expedite the process. So again, everyone else is like, shake hands. It's a win-win. I don't. I see this as a lose-lose for everybody, man. I'm pretty bummed about it, to be honest. But there you are. The schools. He tweeted about Kentucky. We've been told Mark Pope did call him, so take that for what it's worth. Um, you can elaborate further on this if you want. It sounds truly like the ask here from Jeremiah and from family is just, we want a guaranteed big role. That's it. It's not a money demand. It's, are you going to play me? How many minutes? What's it look like?
Right.
And we've been told Kentucky contacted. My read is that Kentucky doesn't have the role he wants to offer.
Right. He like this is the thing. It's not about whether well, we're entitled to our opinions, right? Everyone's entitled to be like that kid's a one and done, that kid's not a one and done. That anyone can come out and say that. If the kid themselves wants to be a one and done and believes he's a one and done, and everyone around him believes he's a one and done, you got to attack it or go to a place that can help you do that, right? And in order to do that, he's probably going to need the ball in his hands a lot, and he's going to need to play major minutes. So like that's kind of what you need to do. It's like you have this mindset and you have this plan, whether it's the right plan or the wrong plan, you got to do what you got to do to execute that plan, whether it's going to work or not. So if he wants to be a one and done, which I think he does want to be, he's going to have to go somewhere that's offering him like 30 some minutes,
Yeah.
high, like 30 minutes in the ball in his hands a lot.
And Kentucky won't do this. But reminder, if he had reclassified 2 months ago, maybe Kentucky would have done it. Like, this is the complicated part of why it makes no sense. And the Fierce family isn't, I don't think they're unintelligent enough to do this unless they felt kind of forced. Um, so the other schools that have been rumored, Providence and Oklahoma, we believe both Providence and Oklahoma have reached out.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't. So Providence, I think they have a scholarship open, but I'm not positive. But I think he would have the opportunity to play major minutes for them. I know they did get some guys in the portal. They got Bryce Hopkins coming back. I think their point guard might be back from last season, Pierre, but I'm not positive on that. I have to double check. Oklahoma's Oklahoma. I think they would have the ball and they'd have minutes for him.
I mean, isn't the Oklahoma thing just like we did this with Trae Young? He was 130 pounds and he got to do whatever he wanted. But also Porter Moser wasn't the coach of that team. So like,
That's true.
but I don't like this is just why it's frustrating me though. Like we're really sitting here like, well, Providence and Oklahoma are the only two schools who can give him what he wants.
There's got to be some other schools that can do it.
It's crazy to me.
I don't know who it is, but there's got to be.
I mean, Michigan State kept getting named, but
Not happening
because Michigan State's not going to just like pull a scholarship from someone, right? There's no way to get creative on that.
I don't think there's any way. I don't think that Tom Izzo is going to just give a reclass freshman 30 minutes a game and the ball in his hands a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I did the pitch yesterday. I still think Michigan makes so much sense here because to me, they have a 30-minute opening at guard for a player of Jeremiah's caliber. And they were trying to get Jameer Watkins to come in and play a big role as a perimeter player of that caliber. So you would have the money, you would have the space, you would have the need, you would kind of have all the stuff the Fierce family wants promised. I think you could promise it. Here's my update on that. Michigan has discussed Jeremiah. I know that for sure. There have been conversations behind closed doors. I believe like they know they need to move quickly if they want to make that move, and I think it's going to be decided today if they will make that move. I think they have a great chance if they try to. I've made that very clear to you and to everyone at this point. I don't know if they will try to, Cart. My read here is that Dusty thinks it's a little redundant to some of the other freshmen on this team. And speaking for me, I don't. I think Jeremiah's way better than Justin Pippen. So, but I can also see Dusty has been very careful about like if we're going to take a 13th, are we going to not piss other guys off? They did get Roddy Gale and Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden at discounted prices compared to many of the players that are of their caliber that went in the portal. So, I think he's putting a premium on chemistry and trying to not disrupt things. And the reality is, wherever Jeremiah Fears goes at this point, he's going to be disrupting things because it's July. Like practices have already started, which is why this is such an insane move. But I do think there's a non-zero chance Michigan enters this recruitment, but I think it's like a 10% chance. I don't think it's for sure going to happen, and I'm sad about that.
Could be more. He's speaking to existence.
I'm trying so hard, Cart.
I'm very, very just interested to see like over the next 3 to 4 days what schools show themselves.
So some BYU people were tweeting me mentioning saying BYU has a 13th spot open.
We have space over the Latter-day Saints.
I would be surprised if BYU doesn't at least call. If BYU just becomes our landing spot for all our favorite decommits, I'd be so in on that. It'd be great. Lastly, there's a team we haven't mentioned that I don't believe has reached out, but like should reach out. Why wouldn't Villanova call and promise him 40 minutes in the ball every play?
Villanova might be full.
No way.
I thought they just got like an overseas guy.
They got the Alexander Gavalyagov guy, right?
Yeah, Sweeney's boy.
The roster sheet I'm looking at has 12.
Okay, that'd be a great. Oh God, I would hate that though.
I mean, blue blood program. Like I don't know that you're going to find a better fit for like, give me all the minutes in the ball.
I would like that. I don't know. I wonder if Neptune knows.
Neptune's way, way too incompetent to know.
Yeah, that sucks.
All right, so handicap this. Who is the leader at this point for Jeremiah Fierce?
Awful handicapper. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go Providence.
I think Providence too. Kim English has too much motion right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Please make a phone call, Dusty. Please.